It's Dina Dahl, and I'm here with Ron Filipkowski, who needs no introduction, but he was so kind to let me interview him today because he is the secret, not so secret force behind really a lot of the social media and think tank type discussions of the Meidas Touch Network. Ron is the editor-in-chief of Meidas Plus News on basically the written version of the YouTube videos that you see. He also has a massive social media following where he just minute by minute not only gets out our message, but defends our message. And he also does a daily bulletin, Today in Politics, which he started right after the November 2024 election. For those of you who haven't read it, it's out on Substack, and it's incredible that you do that every day, Ron. It gives you a synopsis of everything that is going on. But right now, in this moment where it seems that we are teetering on the precipice of perhaps a mega collapse or things getting worse, wanted to get your strategic insight, not only of how you're responding, but how the rest of us should be responding to. So thanks for sitting down with me.
Sure. Happy to do it. Thank you for inviting me again.
I know. So we did this about a year ago, right before the inauguration. I remember we ended our video with, let's do this again. And I think you said, let's see how sane I am or not sane. And, you know, we both knew that this year was going to be tough, but I don't think it's one thing to know it's going to be tough, and it's another thing to live through it being tough. What do you think? What's your biggest takeaway from the year in terms of maybe what the Democrats did best? We always talk about what the Democrats did wrong. What is maybe something we can be proud of and build on from this last year?
I think that, you know, the first couple of months of the Trump administration, the Democrats are really reeling because I think that they did not expect like Doge. I think so many of them really didn't fully appreciate the Project 2025 agenda that Russ Vought and Stephen Miller were planning on implementing. They thought that they were going to get another version of Trump term one. And we all who covered Trump for the 4 years from 2021 to 2024, during those years when he was not president, saw the transformation of him and his movement and the people around him. And we all warned constantly, this second Trump term is going to be nothing like the first one. The guardrails are down. The Supreme Court has given him immunity. All the people who surrounded him back then, who used to tell him no all the time in his administration, are all gone. He will not bring them back. He intends to surround himself with absolutely the worst toxic people. And as bad as the Trump cabinet was in term one, compare this one with that one, and it's like 10 times worse. And I don't think that really a lot of Democrats in Congress even expected it to be as bad as it was. And then you have Elon Musk rolling in there with his Doge team, ripping apart the executive branch of the government, one agency after another. And I think it was sort of like a knockout punch, you know, at first. And I think Democrats were on the mat for a little while. And I think really it was the base. It was the grassroots. It was those indivisible, no kings rallies, and that picked them up. And I think all of us out here, you know, we basically let them know, like, we expect you to take the gloves off. This isn't 1996 anymore. This is a new game. You need to get with it. And if you don't understand the new game and you're not prepared to fight back with some bare knuckles, then you need to retire and you need to get out. And that really, frankly, was a problem. You know, we had a lot of people who were too old, too establishment, not up for this kind of a fight to fight off an authoritarian movement. And so I think the positive is that's all gone, you know, that they get it now. I think most of them do, you know, maybe not all, but the ones who aren't are retiring. And I think that they unified, they came together, they listened to the grassroots, they listened to us, the voters. And I think that now the Democratic Party is much tougher and much more prepared to carry on this fight for the next 3 years than they were the first few months of last year.
And speaking of Doge and Elon Musk, I actually have a clip from our interview last year where you talk about your efforts. I think that the collapse of Doge and the ouster of the breakup of the bromance, let's say, between Musk and Trump is in no small part to your efforts. If we can play that clip.
Like nobody else is out there doing this. Mainstream media can't do it. When a Republican attacks another Republican, like for example, when Steve Bannon just went after Elon Musk, I dive right into that because a huge part of my following are Republicans. They're MAGA because they want to know what I'm saying about them. So they follow me even though they hate me.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so it's very useful to me to go, hey, look what Steve Bannon just said about Elon Musk. I put it out and I know it's going to get to all of them. When I put it out, because so many of them, Charlie Kirk follows me. You know, I could go on. Steve Bannon, his people all follow me. Matt Gaetz follows me. We could go on and on of the number of Republicans who follow me. And so I'm always trying to like drive wedges between them.
You drove a really good wedge that was successful. The recent post by Elon Musk on X about, there we go. Bannon is evil. You broke up. You really helped break up that relationship. And this is why I spoke in the beginning how you're the secret, not so secret weapon, because we need those divisions and cracks in order for there to be any hope for the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, another probably even better than the people I just rattled off was that, there's so many that Republicans and people inside the Trump administration that follow me. And, like, for example, Susie Wiles, Trump's chief of staff, she doesn't follow very many people on social media and she doesn't post on social media, but she does follow me. She has followed me for a long time. So, and I think that there's a reason for that, is that I report pretty extensively on the MAGA movement, on the Republican Party, and have for a long time because I was a Republican, and I was an appointed official of Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott, and, was involved in a lot of Republican campaigns. So I understand what this is all about. The chair of the RNC, Joe Gruters, has followed me for many years, and we were friends for a long time. So prior to Trump is one of the things that ended our friendship back in 2016. So that's why a lot of these people follow me. And because I sort of came from, not from the MAGA movement, but I came from their party, and I understand the MAGA movement. And so knowing that, it is useful to me to put stuff out there when one of them is criticizing another. If I post it, I know that they're all going to see it, and that is important. That is something that I do try and do on a regular basis. Aside from reporting the news, just the general news, as I try to do, I also try and make sure that if Republicans are attacking each other, that they all know about it.
And you also listen in on their conversations to each other by listening to those podcasts, which is so important because it's one thing what they wanted the public to hear. It's one thing when they're talking amongst each other. But one question, you brought in Susan Wiles right there. What do you think about her? Because she has slid under the radar, right? I mean, Stephen Miller, my gosh, he says the most awful thing all the time. So he attracts attention. There's something about Trump being so horrible, but to your point earlier about Project 2025, not being given enough credit that they were organized, because Trump comes out bumbling and, he seems like he's so unqualified, but he had a team of people behind him who were prepared. Is Susan Wiles like that? Like, is she actually somebody that we should be paying more attention to? Or do you think she's maybe reining him in a little bit?
That is a really good, complicated question. I've read sort of all the profiles of her over the years as she went from, she used to work for Ron DeSantis, until he fired her. He fired her because Casey DeSantis didn't like her. So, I've kept track of Susie for a long time. And so I think that a lot of people have sort of viewed her as the responsible person in the room, the den mom of the Trump administration. And I think that to some extent that's true. I think if she wasn't there, it would be even more insane than it already is, that she does sort of try and